Hey guys, what do you think of my new black costume? Pretty edgy, huh? Copycat. You two are kidding, right? Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, poseability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, we're taking a look at the new DC Multiverse Solar Suit Superman. Starting off with the packaging, we've got our typical DC Multiverse window box. Name and logo down here. Name and logo on the side. Wait a minute, Lois and Clark? This doesn't look a thing like Dean Cain. For those who want it, here's the barcode and a product shot on the back. Down here we've got some other available figures, and if you really like a black costume Superman, they also have one in animated style. For packaging, Solar Superman gets 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and Solar Suit Superman stands at 7 1/4 inches. First things first, and this figure is almost the same as Rebirth. Obviously, he's been given a brand new head, rocking a pretty sweet beard if I do say so myself. He's also got a new diaper and a new logo. At a glance, and you might be tempted to think that that's the extent of the new parts, but that is actually not the case. Although it's based on the same sculpt, the entire upper torso is new. You can tell because he doesn't have portholes for the cape. Additionally, the recess for the shield is slightly different. Whereas this one has a weird little pinch at the bottom, this one is nice and straight. The tops of the shield are still weird though. One thing that I really appreciate is how closely this resembles their other Superman heads. It really is just a bearded version of Action Comics 1000. In general, I don't like this bulkier body type for Superman. I much prefer this frame, but overall I do like it better with this costume than this one. One minor detail I'm not crazy about is the belt. Just something about having the logo on there too feels a bit busy. I just feel like it pulls focus from the main one. That said, the silver is very vibrant and nicely painted. Even the boots, which kind of remind me of the ones that he wears when he can't fly. When I think about Superman's recovery suit, I naturally imagine the Return of Superman story from the 1990s. This costume is a slight departure, but I also think it is a pretty decent upgrade. Seeing Superman with a beard is also pretty cool. For presentation, I'm giving Solar Suit Superman 1 whole point. Moving on to poseability, and Superman's head's in a dumbbell joint, up this much, all the way down, really great tilt, and all the way around. Swivel hinge shoulders raise up a little bit over 90 degrees, forward and back with the rotator cuff, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and McFarlane wrist balls that swivel and hinge. Shifting to the torso, and Superman has a diaphragm joint and a dumbbell waist. Utilizing both, and he can get into a great flying pose. He can also hunch over this far, tilt, and twist. Below the waist, and Superman has the typical McFarlane hips. They kick out this far, and split this far. Small amount of twist, but not much. Double jointed knees, toe ticulation, and McFarlane ankle balls that swivel, hinge, and pivot. Having a capeless Superman presents a rare opportunity to get him into poses that aren't usually that feasible. Granted, a lot of those limitations could be solved by using a wired cloth goods cape, but you get the idea. For poseability, I'm giving Solar Suit Superman 1 whole point. Before we continue, just a quick reminder that we're currently giving away a Titan Joker Megafig to one lucky subscriber. We're also giving away Robin from Infinite Frontier. For more information, check out those videos at the end of this one. Moving on to playability, and Superman comes with a trading card. Pause here if you want to read what it says. He also comes with flying hands and a flight stand. As I said during presentation, if Superman loses his ability to fly, the regeneration suit has rocket boots. While this figure doesn't include any, if you happen to have Batman Beyond, you can use those blast effects. Just plug them in, and away you go. But playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. Starting off with some allies, and here he is with Batman from the Three Jokers. I love the sculpt, but I do think that he's a bit too tall. Rebirth, however, scales much better. Here we have the battle damage version, and here he is with Batman from Future State. For some Wonder Women, we've got New 52 by DC Collectibles. As you can see, they have matching silver accents. And speaking of matching silver accents, here we have Wonder Woman designed by Todd McFarlane himself. Here we have Wonder Woman from The Last Night on Earth. Still my favorite DC Multiverse Wonder Woman so far. For one final Wonder Woman, we've got Endless Winter. Based on your comments to that video, not a lot of you seem to like this one. But on the subject of that video, here's Superman with John Stewart Green Lantern. And for one final member of the Justice League, here he is with the DC Multiverse Flash. That said, if you've watched my videos for a while, you'd know that DC Essentials is the Barry Allen for my display. display. And since he shares a body with pretty much every other male DC Essentials, if you're curious how this Superman scales with them, here you go. And on the subject of DC Essentials, here he is with Supergirl. Shifting from heroes to villains, and here he is with Power Suit Lex Luthor. Here he is with Mr. Mxyzptlk. There's no action in this figure, but he still looks pretty cool. Here he is with the Necron Warrior from Warhammer. I use this as a stand-in for Metallo. Here he is with Bizarro, who I think is a much more appropriate use for this body. Here he is with Superboy Prime. With a little bit of paint, you could probably get this to work. That said, I do think it might be just a bit too small, especially when you look at the profile. While we're on the subject of Superboy Prime, YouTube user Brian Dussel asked how his head would look on the Dark Knight Returns body. Personally, I think this is way too small. In fact, it's so tight you can barely move the head. Additionally, the wider neck stretches the face out. Even so, hope this helps. While we're at it, YouTube user Alpha Spawn asked about the Prime head on the Action Comics 1000 body. Again, the flesh tones don't match exactly. Otherwise, I really like this. I dare say I kinda like it better than the original head. And if you're curious, here's the bearded head on the Superboy Prime body. He can't look up because of the collar, but he can look down. An interesting look for those who were interested. Lastly, here he is with General Zod. This is one comparison that I've been very curious about in particular. The colors don't match, but it's still a pretty cool look. Swapping the other way, and I really like this. I get that the head is unmistakably Kal-El, but something about this just feels more like Zod. Moving on to the Man of Steel himself, and here he is with the very first black costume Superman figure ever made. This figure was made in 1995 by Kenner. Here we have the New 52 Superman by DC Collectibles. Not as much of a height difference as I was expecting. Next up, we've got the DC Essentials Superman. Personally, I think he's a little too lanky. Moving over to McFarlane though, and here we have Superman from Action Comics 1000. This is the Superman that I use in my display. Swapping the heads, and it matches up perfectly. All it needs is a mullet. He can look up this much and down this much. The bearded head on the Action Comics body looks pretty cool as well. Even the colors match up. For an interesting alternative that McFarlane released around the same time, here we have the Unchained armor. Here we have Superman the Infected. This was the first time that they used this body sculpt. With just a little bit of paint, this could be a very interesting look. There's almost something apocalyptic about it. The inverse honestly looks really creepy. If I had a Batman who laughs, this is probably what I would display him with. Here we have the DC Rebirth version, which is the most recent use of this body, or misuse depending on how you look at it. Again, this is pretty much just the Action Comics 1000 head painted differently. You can look up this far and down this far. Despite the different paint job, I think it blends pretty well. Additionally, the bearded head on the Rebirth body looks pretty cool. It almost draws your focus away from the boots. For an even more muscular Man of Tomorrow, here we have Superman from The Dark Knight Returns. This doesn't look too bad, assuming of course you'll like your Superman a bit on the chonky side. As for the other way around, ugh. And for one last black costume comparison, here we have Henry Cavill from the Snyder Cut. As I've said about a bajillion times now, the colors don't match, but this body frame is just about perfect for Superman. On the flip side, this looks pretty cool too. To be honest, it actually feels closer to Henry Cavill's actual build. For a relative scale comparison, here he is with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and of course, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. There really is just something about Superman in a black and silver costume. One thing that I'm happy to see are alternate flight hands and fists, which I think should be standard for every Superman figure. Additionally, head swap options with other figures add a lot of extra value. For playability, I'm giving Solar Suit Superman 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I found Solar Suit Superman at GameStop for $19.99. A figure like this has a lot of reuse, but I also think that it's smart reuse. I'd love to see McFarlane do more with things like swappable heads, but I think we all know that's not going to happen. Even so, the swappable hands and flight stand add enough value that I do feel as though I got my money's worth. For price, I'm giving Solar Suit Superman 1 whole point for a grand total of 5 out of 5. To find out more about the Titan Joker or Robin giveaways, click here, and thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.